Hey Ajith, I know you sent me a few great questions and raise your hand here. So familiar face, you want to help us kind of kick things off?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Hey Neil, as you know, we are building Craved. I would like to understand what was the hardest phase for you in the time of building, the startups that you had, and what you learned from that, and how you overcame that, basically.
Yeah, that's a good question. There's a lot to choose from, as you all know. There's a lot of hard times with being a founder. I would say for us, I can think of two examples. One at Goldbelly, we had sort of as I mentioned, we had gotten to pretty good scale. COVID entered the picture, and people were kind of stuck at home. That got us to hyperscale. And then we had kind of gotten used to it to some degree. It pains me to say that we all got used to being at home, but um, that we kind of took it for granted that that would exist. And so we hadn't fully developed our demand generation side of the company because we had just been in sort of like demand capture mode. Um, and when that fell off, that was really tough. We had to completely like reposition the company. There was times when we saw a lot of like negative months where we were like, what is going like, man, was this just a phenomenon of COVID? Are we dead as a company? We had a lot of tough times, um, and a lot of tough conversations. And I think like now looking back, I can see that was not the case, and it was just a lull. But we had a ton of people that were like, "Oh, you're just a COVID phenomenon," etc. And it took I can't say this was just me. Like it took all of us as an executive team and leadership team kind of coming together and reprioritizing everything we were doing. I think one of the things we did very successfully was have a have a frank conversation of let's say every gain we made went away tomorrow. What would we have done if we were back to that stage? What would have the natural like growth steps been? Um, where should we invest? And we had a really, really good like planning session after that that set our priorities for the next year that kind of changed again the trajectory of the company. We got we focused on really sustainable growth rather than just like growth at all costs. We got to profitability. We basically got to dictate our own terms because we didn't need to raise funding. And so that was a really tough like year and a half journey, but it only comes together from I think working with your peers and also like being able to have frank conversations with one another. You shouldn't be afraid to say anything with like the leadership of your company, even if that means like, what if we lose everything? That's a conversation you should have.